Life with Louella, written and illustrated by Margaret Franklin. This week's episode, The Viking Queen. Louella Snugglebunny was out camping with her friends one weekend at Emily Park. It was a beautiful morning, and she was wide awake long before anyone else because she had to make a trip to the outhouse. When she finished, she paused outside for a moment to admire the magnificent sunrise. Brilliant reds, pinks, and golds danced upon the lake and sparkled. The majestic pine trees filled the air with their woodsy aroma, and a Viking ship rapidly approached the shore. A Viking ship? This Louella had to see. Curiosity brought her down to the dock. Maybe they were just actors making a movie. "Seize the prisoner!" shouted their captain. Louella had no idea they were talking about her, and before she could move, two men grabbed her and carried her onto the ship. "Allow me to introduce myself," said the captain. "I am Darren the Despicable, and don't you forget it." "Yes, sir," said Louella. "Håkon, Bjorn, take her to the dungeon at once," he ordered. Reluctantly, they followed his orders. Down in the dungeon, hundreds of prisoners sat in rows, rowing with huge oars. Louella tried to strike up a conversation with the catatonic, slightly greenish-looking man on her left. "Boy, do you ever look tired," she said. "Don't they ever feed you down here?" "You won't expect much conversation from Herb," said the man on her right. "He's been dead since last Thursday." "Ew!" Louella recoiled in horror. "Well," she said, "no situation's so bad. Singing doesn't make me feel better. Please play for me that sweet melody." "Shh! Do you want to get us in trouble?" said the man on her right. Louella ignored him and kept singing. "Call doodle-doo-doo, doodle-doo-doo. I like the rest, but what I like best is doodle-doo-doo, doodle-doo-doo. Simplest thing, there's nothing much to it, don't have to sing. Just doodle-doo-doo it, I love it so. Wherever I go, I doodle-doo-doodle-doo-doo." Darren the Despicable could hear her from where he was outside on the main deck. "I can't stand music," he shouted. "Håkon, Bjorn, take her to the galley at once." Håkon and Bjorn reluctantly obeyed him, unshackled Louella, and took her into the galley, where the cook tied her up and placed her into a huge silver pot on the stove. "What are you making?" she asked, as he threw a chopped onion into the pot. "Rabbit stew," he said, and he proceeded to chop another onion into the pot. "What's rabbit stew?" she asked. The cook just ignored her. "What's rabbit stew? They hop around!" She laughed at her own joke. The cook was too busy chopping to pay attention, so Louella used her ears to stir the pieces of onion towards her mouth and ate them. The cook returned with the next chopped onion. "I could have sworn I put one in already," he said, and went to chop another as Louella floated those pieces into her mouth too. This happened a couple more times. "What happened to my onions?" the cook demanded an explanation. "Does this answer your question?" "Ah!" Louella gave him a powerful whiff of onion breath that caused him to pass out. She then escaped from the pot. Håkon was outside with his sword. "Mind if I borrow that?" she asked him. "Not at all," he said. "In fact, I'm on your side." Louella ran up to Darren the Despicable. "I challenge you to a sword fight," she said. "Fake him to the left, fake him to the right, fake him to the left, fake him to the right." Louella dodged from side to side so quickly that Darren the Despicable was soon tired out. However, he now had her cornered against the end of the plank. One false move and it was game over. "Huntington Hartford hates pickled herring," she said. "Yoo-hoo-hoo-hoo!" Splash! "Hooray for Louella, Queen of the Vikings!" shouted Håkon and Bjorn. "Long live our new captain!" They kissed her paws and presented her with a magnificent golden helmet as the rest of the crew cheered. "From now on, we follow your orders," they told her. "Release the prisoners!" she ordered. and take me home to my friends." "If we take you home, then who will be our captain?" asked Håkon. "You will," replied Louella, "and Bjorn can be first mate." "Louella," said Bjorn, "although you may not be captain any more, you'll always be our Viking queen to us, no matter where you are." As for Darin the Despicable, from that day to this, he's been held hostage by two mermaids, Ethel and Gertrude, who continue to feed him sour grapes and read him their awful poetry.